All right. I have been so scatterbrained the last couple of days. I have done very little anything. Well, I've done a whole lot of playing Starfield. That's the only thing I've done very much of. You know, I started actually this morning. This morning I had just started New Game Plus number 33 in Starfield. Yeah, I know. I know. I understand. And I said, you know, before I do my video today, I'm going to go ahead and crank out the Ryujin missions. Yeah, I thought that was going to take like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It took 5 hours. And I think most of it is just me openly simping for Huang Le in the underbelly. I do a lot of that. Like, I do a whole lot of that. You've probably noticed that that my wallpaper changes all the time, but there's a theme. There's a definite theme. And I've constructed this whole little narrative that doesn't actually happen, but I just like pretend it does in the game. It's not the narrative you're probably thinking of either, because the whole thing is, when you construct a narrative in a role-playing game and the narrative doesn't actually happen, it has to be something that you can plausibly build around what is actually going on in the world. And what's going on in the world is Huang Le is still sitting there in the underbelly the same as she always is. So no matter what the narrative is, she has to continue sitting in the place that she sits in the underbelly of Neon. So I had to kind of build a narrative around this. Now you can build a narrative if you want to use mods, but I really don't. The only mod that I use at the present time, I've kicked every mod out of my game except the Starborn Guardian 7 Plus. And I don't like this mod. Because the Starborn Guardian 7 Plus basically goes, hey, the Starborn Guardian stops getting better after number 6, and it should keep getting better. It should just keep getting better and better and better until it's completely fucking absurd. To give you an idea, the cargo capacity of the Starborn Guardian that I'm flying now is 150,000. That's insane. And the weapons do more damage, and it's faster, and it's just all of these bells and whistles that get added to it. But I never actually use the Starborn Guardian. I know I said the one I'm flying now. It's the one I have in my ship inventory now because you can't get rid of it. There's no way to remove the Starborn Guardian from your ship inventory. There's not even any way to alter it and make it, like, sane. So the only thing that I'm using the Starborn Guardian 7 Plus mod for is because the number after your Starborn Guardian model is the New Game Plus counter. That's all I'm using it for. You don't have a New Game Plus counter in your statistics. I don't know why. I feel like you should. Clearly, you're able to have one because the Starborn Guardian 7 Plus mod does it, but it's not exposed for some dumbass reason. So I use that one mod, so I get that counter, and I never actually fly the Starborn Guardian anywhere anyway. Like, one of the first things I do is get a different ship, and I have various different ways that I do that. One of them is to go land on moons and wander around and try to steal somebody else's ship. And another is to just go directly to the Stroud Eklund Star Yard, that star station, and change my active ship to the Frontier, which you want to do anyway, because here's a thing about Starfield when you start a new game. When you start New Game Plus, Okay, your Starborn Guardian has like a couple of resources in the captain's locker and a couple of resources in the cargo hold. The Frontier has entirely separate cargo. So you have to go and switch to the Frontier as your active ship to get that cargo. Then you could switch back to the Guardian, and now the cargo's intermingled. But the Frontier has resources in it that are not moved to the Guardian when you load into a new game. Also don't like the spacesuit that you get. The spacesuit that you get is like overpowered. I don't like that. And there's a free mod you can download that gives you like an even better Starborn suit. That's even worse in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, I started up this new game, and I just said, hey, you know, I'll go and I'll do the Ryujin missions, because the first place I want to go is Neon, so I can go to the underbelly and sip for Huangda, because that's what I do. I've got like 280 pictures of her. I just go down there and take her picture for like some period of time. Why? I don't know. But the whole narrative around her, I have been kind of clarifying in my head what that narrative is, what that narrative should be, because they don't really give you a whole lot to work with. They tell you that one of the things that she says when you talk to her, if you tell her to get a job, she says, I don't need a job, I have my own business. And then she says, don't think of it as a handout, think of it as an investment. I'll pay you back one day, street's honor. She clearly expects to be making a profit, but what exactly is she doing? What could she be doing? So I got to thinking about it, and I thought, it's probably retail stock trading. See, here's my logic, okay? I think she batches up the donations that people give her. I think she uses the donations. She's like, well, I'll use this to like buy some food. I'll use this to buy something to drink. I'll use this to like do this thing that I need to do, or get new boots or whatever the fuck. Okay? But most of the money that she gets, she takes to GalBank and puts in the ATM and invests it in small stock holdings, probably in an indexed fund. Okay? Because you look at what she does. You look at the napkin spreadsheets that she collects, and she's like, "Hey, I got 83 credits this month, and I had 31 credits left over from last month, and I had expenses of 78 credits, so that leaves you with 37 credits." The numbers are like that. That's not exactly the numbers that are on the sheets, but they're like that, you know. So it's one of those things where you sit there and you look at it and you scratch your head, you go, what did she spend 78 credits on? I think what she did, I think there's a minimum amount to put into a deposit. Like, you can't just put 5 credits or 4 credits or 20 credits. You probably have to put 50 or 100. So I think whenever she finds herself with more than 50 credits, she goes to the GalBank ATM and says, hey, I got 78 credits. Put them into this index fund for me. And she's been doing this for 6 years. So you figure she's been doing this for 6 years. I went and did like interest calculations and stuff like this. But let's assume that this is actually what she collects and whatnot. So I just kind of went, as she's been doing that for 6 years, then she's probably got like 5,000-6,000 credits sitting in there. And I got to messing around with it a little bit and thinking about how it would all fit together. But I think that's what she's doing. I think she's doing retail stock investing. And this is just shit I made up in my head. But I think she's doing retail stock investing through those Galbank ATMs in the Neon Core, and that's how she's planning to make a profit and pay everybody back through the magic of compound interest. And the major thing that she's doing is she wants to save up a whole 6,500 credits over and above what she owes people so that she can buy a sleep crate. I think that's her goal, is to be able to buy a sleep crate and have a place of her own. This is, again, shit I'm making up in my head. Conversations I'm pretending I had with the NPC. I know, it's cringy as fuck. I don't fucking care. That's the way I like to play games. Fuck you. So anyway, I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, what would I want to do in that situation? And the first thing I would want to do, there's that little side quest where she finds the guy's slate, and you find her napkin spreadsheets, and you trade them to her for the slate, and you get the slate back, and you take it back to him. And what I was thinking was, I should do that, and then do the diplomacy mission for Ryujin. You got this diplomacy mission later on in the Ryujin chain. It's just like a couple missions in. But you got this mission where you have to go to the Astral Lounge and you got to convince Zola and Arthur not to invest in the Infinity Ltd project that they're being pitched in the Astral Lounge by Nina Hart. And in the process of doing this mission, you snag Nina Hart's presentation. So I got to thinking, what if you snag Nina Hart's presentation and you take that down to the underbelly and you hand it to Huang Le and you say, hey, you know how you wanted a slate? Well, I got you this slate. It's got a presentation on it. Why don't you have a look at it and see what you think? Because if she's at all astute about business, and I'm making up in my head that she is, because of course I am, if she's astute about business, she would go, huh, the time frame on this project is awfully aggressive, and the amount of money is significant. So, the company making this presentation is in trouble and needs outside investment to bail them out. I'll bet their stock's about to go down. So that's what I figure would lead that off. And then if you top that up and you go, hey, here's this 2,000 credit stick to use. It's the reward for recovering the dude's slate. Rafik gave me this 2,000 credits. He said, thanks for finding my slate. I didn't find the slate. You found the slate. It's your money. You take it. You use it. You could take that 2,000 credits and you could go short the stock. But then, of course, there has to be a setback. There always has to be a setback in shit like this. And the setback, I figure, would be the next time I go and talk to Huang Le, I go, hey, did you short that stock? And she goes, actually, cannot short the stock. I'm not allowed to short the stock because a retail account doesn't have short sales or margin purchases available. Oh, no, why not? There's a minimum balance of 10,000 credits. Well, fuck that shit. Here's some more money. And since you can only give Huang Le 25 credits at a time, I fake giving her more money by purchasing ammo I don't need and throwing it over the side of the railing into the ocean. That's what I do, because you gotta actually give up the money. That's like important. That's an important part of the process. You have to like no longer have the money because she has it now. So anyway, I figure that she's probably got like 6,000. I give her the 2,000. That gives her 8,000. She still doesn't have 10,000. Oh my God, we got to give you another 2,000. Well, here I'm going to take these 400 rounds of 43 caliber ammunition and throw them into the ocean, and we're going to pretend that I gave you 2,000 more credits. And now you can go get your brokerage account and you can short the stock. And unfortunately, this misses a round of shorting the stock because the presentation falling through, that causes one dip in the stock, but then the next dip in the stock, that's the big one. Now, the big dip, of course, is as you finish up the mission string and you go and you completely ruin Infinity Ltd. By exposing the malfeasance of Lucas Drexler. Okay? So you go and you expose Lucas Drexler's bullshit. All right? And in order to make the most of that, if she had been able to short the stock in the first place, she could have taken basically a 40 credit stock and it would have gone down to like 20 and she could have like doubled her money, you know? On top of which she's buying on margin, so she's just paying the margin fees, which means that like her, I figure there'd be like a 5% margin fee. And then what she would be able to do is she would be able to sell that off, and then starting from a 10,000 credit balance, she would actually be able to go up to 200,000, and then that would drop down to 100,000 because she has to go and buy the shares back to give them back. So anyway, that turns the 10,000 into 100,000, and the next time through, I'm figuring is like a drop from 40 down to 10. And that would take her up to, from 100,000, she would go up to 4 million, but then of course she would have to buy the shares to give it back. It would turn into like 3 million. Well, now she can't go to 3 million with this. She can only go to about 300,000. But that's fine. That's fine. 300,000 is fine. We can work with that. It'll be okay. So, in order to work with that, what we have to do at this point is we have to figure out what our next step is. And the next step is that Ryujin is going to buy Infinity Ltd. Now, I can't tell her this because it's a rumor, but she could put the pieces together. And the way I kind of make up in my head that she puts the pieces together, there has to be a way for her to put the pieces together. She probably sits there and goes, what would they have to do really, really quickly that would cost this kind of money and that would involve these kind of issues? Well, that sounds like Infinity is trying to put together a mining operation. And when they fail, of course, they take CM39RC1 and they kill everybody so they can steal the Rothosite. So I figure Huang would do some research with her slate. She's smarter than you think she is. And she would go, if they're trying to start up a mining operation, there's probably a competitor that has a similar mining operation in the same general sort of area. So what's going on in that same general area, in the Alpha Beta Carinae vicinity? What major corporate mining is going on there? I see Ryujin has a contract with Consolidated Mining to mine Rothosite. So Ryujin is probably working on the same technology that Infinity Ltd. is. And Infinity Ltd.'s research could be added to Ryujin's research to improve the outcome. This is my thought process. I'm just making shit up for Huang Le to do because I want good things for her. So she could put those pieces together, and obviously, Ryujin is going to want to buy. They're going to want to buy Infinity Ltd. But before they buy Infinity Ltd, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to wait until Infinity Ltd's stock drops, and they're going to want to pump their own up. So their tender offer involves fewer shares of their stock for more shares of Infinity's stock. So Huang Le would put the pieces together and go, after I close out the short on Infinity Ltd, I should go long on Ryujin because they're probably going to buy Infinity Ltd. But on top of that, they're going to announce something big to increase their stock price. And then, after doing that, she would probably quite reasonably presume that that having just jacked up their stock price with new announcements of the new technology, the new Project Dominion NeuroAmp thing, having just done that, the price is probably kind of inflated. So she should probably sell it and short Ryujin. So I figure that's what she would probably do. And if she does that, then rapidly, when you start talking like multiple margin calls and massive swings in the value of stocks, well, that would turn into her making in the vicinity of about 80 million credits. By my reckoning, I'm not going to bore you with the accounting. But in the end, she ends up with like 80 million credits in her account, and she makes just this casual side comment about, oh my God, this is Mantis money. Mantis money. Do tell me more. What do you mean by this expression? Why, this is the kind of money you would need if you wanted to be the Mantis. Do you want to be the Mantis? Oh, hey presto, I have also made up in my head that Huangla is this huge fan of the Mantis. She stands the Mantis all to hell and is just like, always thought the Mantis was the coolest thing ever. Well, guess what? I happen to know that the lair of the Mantis is compromised, and the Mantis is dead, and the chosen successor for the Mantis is also dead. So the position of the Mantis is open. I have the armor. I have the ship. I can train her to use all of the weapons and shit. I can teach her all the stuff she needs to know to be the Mantis. What a coincidence. I could just make that up. And then that's the fun part. Because now I just kind of have made up in my head that there's a trunk, the Mantis armor, and a bunch of weapons that is hanging from a rope under the bottom of that concrete pier in the pillar that sticks up out of the water next to the landing pad. And she just like goes to the edge of the railing and jumps off into the water, goes over, puts on the Mantis armor and whatnot, and then comes back up and just like boost packs over to the landing pad with that shit. Actually, she doesn't need to jump off into the water. She could take the stairs down. I'm fairly certain it's stairs and not an elevator. I think there are stairs in there. And that's a good place for her to change into the Mantis gear. Nobody's really looking down there. Nobody goes down there. And people have this misconception that chasm baths are like dangerous. They're not. You can swim right next to them. They don't do anything. You're completely passive. I mean, if you pay any fucking attention. So anyway, the way all of this ends up is that Huangla is still sitting in her little corner next to Xenofresh, but now she's a secret multimillionaire who is the Mantis in her spare time. And every so often she'll just go, well, time to go be the Mantis. And she'll run off and put on the Mantis armor and go jump in the ship. And away she goes to like do Mantis shit. And then she reappears when she's done and just goes and sits in her spot. That's where she always is. So she's probably like paid off all of the people that she needed to pay off, bought her sleep crate, has a nice place to go and lay her head, but she's also running around being the Mantis and maintaining her panhandler guys as a cover. And I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. So I just pretend we have conversations about that shit. Hey, what'd you do this, man? I went and took out this base over here. There was some fucking Varun zealots. They were hanging around. Oh, wow, fuck them. They're awful. And then I was flying around and I like shot down a bunch of spacers. Oh, made one guy give me a shirt. But yeah, I think that's really cool. And I do shit like this in all of the role-playing games that I play. And I think it's one of the reasons that I end up playing these games that other people don't really enjoy. Is because I have these internal narratives that I make up in my head. I just pull shit out of my arse and just go, hey, what if this happened? Let's pretend it did. And as long as it doesn't fly in the face of what actually happens in the game, as long as it's compatible, as long as it doesn't completely contradict canon, I'm cool with it. just pretending the thing is happening. So it's like I go and I do my thing and I go through all of the motions of this stuff and going down there and pretending to have conversations that aren't actually in the game. And then in the end, instead of homeless panhandler Huangla, we've got secret identity of the Manus Huangla. I like that. That's a better position for her. I enjoy thinking about that much more than I enjoy thinking of her eating out of the garbage. It's much easier. I've tried to come up with like other canon ideas, but they're just not compatible with what ends up happening unless you remove her from the area in Neon City. And there are ways you could do that with mods, but I don't really like using mods for that shit. When you only have one mod, your load order's really fucking easy. Yeah. I know, this is a disjointed and weird and overtly cringy episode of the show. But you know what? I don't fucking care. I enjoy this sort of thing. This is the kind of gamer I am. This is the kind of person I am. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy. This is the kind of story that I think is nice. You know? And in the no consequences power fantasy of being starborn and being on my 34th trip through the universe, my fantasy, the thing I want to do is I want to make the homeless girl in the cyberpunk city into a professional vigilante. That's what I want. I want to make the homeless person into Batman. Here, you. We're going to call you Dick Grayson. Don't ask why. But yeah, that's my idea of a good time. And I think if you can do stuff like this when you play games, you're going to have a better time. And I think people who don't do that get bored with games. I think a lot of what has made games less compelling lately is the people who want a story told to them instead of who want to tell a story. And the games themselves are much more about telling you a story than letting you tell your own story. Like, there are any number of ways to be the Dragonborn in Skyrim. But you're going to be the Dragonborn. You're going to be Dragonborn. Unless, and this is what I do every fucking time, when Farragar Secret Fire in Dragon's Reach tells you to go get the Dragonstone, don't get the Dragonstone. Don't go to Bleak Falls Barrow. Don't offer to find the Golden Claw for Luke and Valerius. Just fucking don't. Because if you never bring the Dragonstone to Farragar Secret Fire, you will never see another dragon. That's the trigger for dragon number 2. And that's dragon number 2. There will be no more dragons until dragon number 2. Because Delphine is a necessary element of that. Delphine is the one who says, hey, I figured out where the dragons are coming from. And if you never trigger the second dragon, then you never trigger Delphine to reveal herself and say, oh, hey, I figured out where the dragons are coming from. You never go see the Greybeards. You never learn to use your shouts. You never even get Fus Roda. You get nothing. You never have anything along those lines. You're just a guy with skills like any other guy, or a girl with skills like any other girl or guy. And that's the way that I play the great majority of Skyrim, is with no shouts. I have no shouts at all, because fuck that main storyline. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. when I do start the main storyline, like the first thing I do is go kill Mirak in the Dragonborn quest, because fuck that dude. I do not like that motherfucker. What I do like is all the fucking black books, all the black book quests, all that stuff going through Hermaeus Mora's domain. That's fucking, I love that shit. That's the most fun ever. And one of my favorite things to do in Skyrim, this is going to sound so fucking cringe and so fucking weird, I love collecting all the volumes of the Poison Song. Why? I don't know. I just do. I just kind of, I have them all. I've collected the whole set. And then I'm all proud of myself, and I go and I read them all the way through. Yeah, that's fucking weird, but I enjoy it. It's a thing. And if you can't make up your own shit, if you can't do your own thing, then you're not going to have as much fun with games. And that worries me with my own game designs, because I make games that I like to play. I make games that are built the way I like games to be built. And I like them to be built with an open-ended area where you can make shit up and it fits. I think a lot of people just like want to be spoon-fed the story. And I think that's one of the reasons that that games are not as satisfying to a lot of people, because like if you take one of the older RPGs like Daggerfall had a main quest and it was full of smaller quests and all that sort of thing, but there were 8 million things for you to go and do. Grand Theft Auto is a great example. You never have to engage with the main storyline or the main quest. You just go fuck around. I love just going and fucking around. I am the target audience for every open world game. I want the open world. I don't want the story spoon-fed to me. I want the world to be open so I can go out and do my shit that I came up with, even if it's stupid and dumb and nobody else thinks it's fun. I put the General Lee horn on all of my cars in Grand Theft Auto Online. And I love to go and jump my car off various pieces of the landscape and just blow my horn as I'm flying through the air. I think that's the funniest thing in the world, especially when I have a wanted level. I love getting the cops chasing me, and while the cops are chasing me, I jump my car up in the air and I blow the horn. And then I just like keep fucking driving. I think that's great. That was my favorite part of the Dukes of Hazzard, was when they would jump the car and blow the horn and run for the cops. I fucking loved that, and I do that all goddamn day. This is where I could talk about the Confederate flag, but I'm not gonna. Fuck it. The meaning of communication is what is received. If you have a symbol and you display it, you are communicating what everybody else thinks it means, not what you think it means. You may think it means something else. You may say it means something else. But in order for it to actually mean that, everybody else who sees it needs to think it means that. That's not what it means to everybody else. That's not what it means. That's not what you're saying. You can argue all day long that that the HH tattooed on your arm actually stands for Happy Hanukkah. Nobody fucking believes you. They know what you mean by HH. They know what that means. They know what that's for. And you can say, no, I mean something else entirely. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you at all. What you are communicating is not what you are trying to communicate. That's stupid and wrong. Stop it. Don't do that shit. That's probably all I need to say about the Confederate flag, which I said I wasn't going to talk about. And then I talked about it obliquely from a distance. Anyway, the meaning of a communication is what is received. It's not what you were thinking when you opened your mouth and said the shit. It's what they were thinking when they heard you say the shit. That's what happens. And somebody else said, there's this other thing. The purpose of the system is its results. It doesn't matter what you meant the system to do. The purpose of the system is what actually happens. Not what you thought was going to happen, not what you were trying to make happen. The purpose of the system is what actually happens. I don't think that's entirely accurate. I wouldn't say it's the purpose of the system. The purpose of the system was the intent. The effect of the system is what actually happens. It doesn't, the purpose and the effect are disconnected. It's the result of human action, but not human intent. Anybody who studies economics understands that. Wow, I'm getting really far off beaten path here. Anyway, I was going to draw some shit, but now I'm not going to. I've been talking for 35 minutes about simping for Huang Le because that's what I do. That's my thing. That's what I do. Those of you who have known me long enough know I have a bunch of t-shirts with the overly attached girlfriend's face on them. Because I did a lot of open simping for her too. And it creeped her out. So, you know, then you have to stop it. Once somebody's like literally scared of you, you need to stop. Huang Le doesn't exist. She'll never get scared. She'll always call me chief and accept the 25 credits that I offer her. And when I pretend that we're eating lunch together as I'm throwing the Xenofresh paella and the Xenofresh ramen and the Xenoyaki over the railing into the ocean, she will never complain. We will just have the conversation I make up in my head for us to have, and everything will be exactly what I want. Because I made it up. You can make up whatever story you want. Games are a vehicle for that, to make up whatever story you want. And your ability to suspend disbelief is one of the many things that drives your enjoyment of a game. So, if you're not enjoying a game, try and make some shit up in your head that would make the game interesting. Because you can do that. You're allowed to do that. Anyway, do the little YouTube dance. Like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Okay, bye.